Welcome to the Psychology of Influence at Work. 25 things you need to know. At Threshold, we train business leaders in the art of influence. And here we answer some of the standout questions raised by participants in our sessions based on the hard evidence. When we were working with a large infrastructure company who were digitalizing their network, some of the most vehement reactions to change came about when employees discovered that the interface on their screens in their control rooms had changed. Why, our client asked us, was the response here so strong? It's a reaction that we often see during times of change, and it's explained by a phenomenon called the mere exposure effect. In other words, we form an attachment to something, not because it's inherently good, but simply because we're familiar with it. The mere exposure effect dates back to our cave-dwelling ancestors when life was brutal and short. Landscapes that were new and different could easily contain risks or threats, and therefore they'd fire up the amygdala, that fight or flight part of the brain. On the other hand, if our ancestors saw something familiar, they, like us, were more likely to feel safe and reassured. In workshops, we often do this simple thought experiment. Imagine that we're all taking part in an office sweepstake on a horse race. We all chip in some money and we get the winnings if we pick a horse that comes in first, second, or third. Now, imagine that the odds on all of them are equal. Take a look at the horses and pick out your top 1, 2, and 3. Have a go at this now. Which would you choose? Now, if Meg, John, or Ron featured in your top 3, you're like most of us. We've done this exercise many times in workshops, and these 3 consistently come out top by a significant margin. People are drawn towards names that they recognize. So, when we impose change on an employee, we're placing them in an unfamiliar landscape. However, there's a wealth of evidence to suggest that people readily accept change that builds on something that's already familiar to them. When we work with clients to support transformations, we start with helping them to create a familiarized image of what the new landscape will look like. If the change involves technology, let them get their hands on the tools in advance. A small investment in doing this up front makes a big difference. To find out more about Threshold and how we can help people in your organization to get the best out of human beings, go to threshold.co.uk.